you know, just enjoy this. And you don't have to rag it out. Get the roll on this guy. Goodbye, sucker. I love it. What's up, people? So today I thought I would do a driving review of the budget Porsche 944. Yes! So for those of you just joining, this is a 1983 Porsche 944. Has just a tick over 100,000 miles. And I bought it for $3,000 from a very nice man who got tired of a Porsche snob trying to beat him up. So he sold it to me for a very nice price because he liked my style. And I was gonna fix the car up and enjoy it the way it's meant to be. Since that time, with the videos, I've done a number of those, replacing the timing belts for both the balance shafts as well as, of course, the engine camshaft, as well as the water pump, a number of things, including the gasket for the cam housing to the engine. And all those things are going really well. Actually, just today, I did have to fix one thing. The bolts holding on the air conditioning compressor worked their way out and came out. The air conditioner was jammed. I'm like, why is it squealing? The belt's tight. Yeah, well, it's because the belt's basically the only thing holding it on. So I found some bolts and I put them in. And it should be okay. But anyway, I'm having a drive and just wanted to chat with you guys all about it. Now, the first thing I want to say is I really can't stand automotive journalists in general because, with all due respect to them, they're not necessarily always hardcore car guys. So they're always like, I don't know about this feature. This is kind of weird. I think this car is soft. Or worse yet, they're people who judge an old car and they're like, this car is junk. And they don't know anything about the time period or if their car had issues from just being old and ragged out. So in talking about this, I want you to all keep into perspective that this car is in fact from 1983 and has never been like fully restored. So it's always going to be a sports car from 1983. But I can tell you this, is the door shut? I think the weather's going us off a little bit. Getting a little wind noise. Anyway, gearbox feels great. The synchros are still feel nice. It doesn't do anything weird, pop out of gear. I'm happy that the gearbox, which is actually a transaxle and is in the rear of the 944, and attributes as to why it does have the good weight distribution everybody talks about. But it does, it feels really good and it feels positive. It's a little bit longer of a throw, but there's really nothing wrong with that. And I enjoy shifting it. This gearbox and the nature of the linkages, frankly, feels a lot better than the modern era Boxster that Gina's Garage is going to utilize for the Lycan build. And frankly, it feels better than some 911s and such. It really does. It feels quite good, especially for being a remote shifter to the back. So that I want to say a lot of positive things at. It's never going to be as rock solid awesome as like the nature of the shifter in my Viper, because that goes right into the transmission. It feels like a bolt action rifle. But the shifter feels great. The clutch is very light. It doesn't have to hold a lot of horsepower. So it doesn't, hold on, I'm trying to get, it's the wind noise. It doesn't have to hold a lot of horsepower, but the clutch is delicate, nice, and easy to modulate. Now, the clutch in this, I don't know if and when it has ever been replaced, or if it's the original. If I try to take it off quickly and slip it a lot, it seems like it wants to just start to chatter a little bit. So when I'm driving this, especially being an older sports car that I'm enjoying, I'm not trying to hole shot, not trying to be a freak about, I just, you know, let the clutch out, kind of quickly get it out so it's engaged and you're moving and you can accelerate and basically slip the clutch as little as possible. That's always been my technique with cars to make them last a long time, and especially with older European cars, it's a good thing to do because those cars really aren't designed to hole shot. If in fact this is the original clutch with the rubber center or one like it, it's also another good reason to be nice to it so you don't blow out the center of your clutch and then have to replace it because you get a lot of driveline latch, which is a real big drag. But otherwise, the car's quite nice. I replaced the seal on the sunroof here so it doesn't leak. But it does have that kind of nice old musty leather smell of old German cars and all. My wife says it smells like crayons. Not as bad as a newer German car like a Volkswagen or something that has a lot of paraffin in it for rust proofing, but that's kind of that. So with regard to the driving style, it's nice. It's laid out nicely. I'm 6'1". I fit really well. I have nice places to rest my arms and shoulders if I'm going a longer drive. This particular example does not have cruise control. Don't really care. Neither does my Viper. Some do, later ones. The stocks here for the windshield wipers and turn signals are the same as what Volkswagens were in the 80s. They're simple, they're light, and they work. So I really have nothing bad to say there. The kind of oddity about this one is it does have a Momo Monte Carlo steering wheel, which I'm not sure when those originally came out. I was kind of thinking they were more of mid-1980s things, but still reasonably period correct. But the steering wheel might be a little bit smaller in diameter, and it is in fact blocking the tachometer from like 0 to 2,500 RPMs for my right eye, so I can kind of see it, as well as the miles per gallon vacuum gauge and my water temperature gauge. So I gotta go like that to look at the water temperature. I gotta go like that to look at the tachometer. Since they're round gauges, I thought it'd be kind of neat if I took these out. Maybe I could put the tachometer in the middle and move the speedometer over, because where the steering wheel allows you to see the gauge on the right would allow you to see all of the legal speeds of the speedometer, which is the only really ones you need to see. And I think it'd be kind of cool to have the tach in the middle to watch it, because I like that bottom sweeping tachometer anyway. So that's kind of a little oddity. The other thing too is this steering wheel is a little bit far away. I'd like to, and that's easy to do with a spacer. I'd like it to be spaced out maybe a half inch, just a little bit closer. It's not adjustable, so you know, that's what you do, but it works fine. And I think the 944 is a perfect example of a simple sports car. And this one, when I drove it for the first time and test drove it, it reminded me of a vintage sports car, something from the 60s or early 70s, obviously European, and I like that. This example has no power steering, so at slow speeds you kind of have to, you know, put a little muscle into it, but at speed it feels nice. The shocks on this, I can't imagine they're very good or new. I'm waiting until the oncoming traffic goes away so I don't scare them. It's a lot of body roll, it's pretty mushy. Hold on, my phone is blowing up today. It's pretty mushy in terms of body roll. Obviously it's got old bushings and stuff, and it's got the sway bars on from the factory, so it's kind of like that. The other thing is it's got 15-inch wheels on it, and big poofy tires like back in the old day you can slide around, so that's going to attribute to, quite frankly, the vintage feel. So if you want to judge this car by a modern car with low profile tires, big sway bars, and different shocks, you're going to think it's a mushy piece of junk, when that's the way they were. But you know, and honestly, if you want to talk something positively about it, first of all, the tires are inexpensive to replace. I got some Coopers, they feel fine, they perform well enough for what this car is capable of, and with the big sidewall, I could drive this up and down I-75 going towards Detroit and really not worry about destroying wheels and getting there. So there are some real-world benefits to having older things like that. The brakes are just a touch on the mushy side. I bled them all, they're all pretty nice. The pads had meat on them, I don't know what pads are on it. So I could do something with that, but you know, they brake well, everything's working, so I really didn't knock myself out trying to make it too perfect, because it's just not, it's not a rocket ship. It's a nice little sports car that if you maintain it is going to be reliable and pleasant. In terms of the climate control, I've just got a couple of old school sliders here with actual mechanical pull cables. Things that generally don't break, like garbage new cars and all their stupid electronics to fail, so you have to buy a new one. I am blowing up today, you guys. Okay, I know, you're trying to call me. So anyway, let me turn this to silent. So it's got sliders, and I got the heater on. It's working well. Let it warm up a bit. The car's got great oil pressure. It doesn't smoke. It doesn't make any ugly engine noises. Goodbye, people. I'm going to pass you in the roundabout. Here we go. Is that George? Yeah, that's George. Goodbye, George. I'm out. So anyway, it does fine. It's fun, right? You saw a little bit of body roll, but it's enjoyable. So those things all work. The air conditioning actually still works, and that's very nice. And it's just got a simple fan here for the vent, and then a separate climate control for the air conditioning to turn on the compressor and the fan for that. I actually really like that. It's simple. It gets the job done. You can adjust it quickly, and it's not going to break. Of course, you got the oil pressure gauge mounted here and a clock, and let's see if the clock works. Yes, the clock works from 1983. Sweet. And in general, it's just being a nice car. It's tracking a straight line. I can sit back and relax with one hand on the steering wheel like this. It tracks a nice straight line. It's not pulling to either side. It's not, you know, it's not doing anything crazy. And aside from the bolts working out of the air conditioning compressor, which I Loctited in place, hopefully they stay, this car is giving me every hallmark of a car that wants to drive every day, whether it's January or July. And I think it's such a pretty and charming car that I enjoy driving it. And of course, my video yesterday relating to the Corvette and potentially selling that and all, I was sitting and talking about the 944. And it's true, people are trying to inflate the prices right now of these things, but they made a lot of them, and they're just, I don't know, it's like the collectors don't have enough things to gentrify. And I just hope that the 944s stay attainable by reasonable people, because this is such a great sports car, European sports car, kind of vintage now, that represents neat things in culture, that I think young people and normal people, if they're a sports car enthusiast, should get the opportunity to enjoy. So if you're looking for a sports car, if you enjoy European sports cars, and you just like the style and panache and everything of them and their character and charm, then find yourself a decent example or fix one up. Obviously, if it's got a blown up motor or there's big crazy things going on with it, you're gonna put a lot of time and more money, so you wanna try to find an example that's halfway decent that you can fix up along the way and enjoy. But a 944 is definitely just a little car that's reasonably inexpensive, that if you appreciate it and you take care of it, it's gonna get you around. I drove these when I was in college as my everyday car. I drove it later as an everyday car. I'm driving it right now as an everyday car. It's February in Ohio. And I'm gonna drive it tomorrow out of town to an important business meeting, and I kind of need it to get me there, you know, and be on time. It's pretty important. So I think we're gonna be just fine. And it's also something that it just gives you a lot of pride of maintaining, and it doesn't matter if it's a rocket ship. It doesn't matter if it's worth a fortune. It just doesn't matter of these things because it's charming and you can enjoy it. The pop-up headlights are fun from the 80s. They just add to it. It's got a great shape that no cars have today. They don't. Cars are getting boring looking today unless you got supercars, and even supercars are getting wacky looking. So it's something that I think stand the test of time, and it's the perfect first vintage car or older car for younger people. In fact, I get a young person tomorrow coming to interview for Genius Garage. He's apparently driving his 944. He fixed up from, like, I don't know, Virginia or somewhere. It's crazy, but it's cool. I think it goes to show. So I'm really enjoying it. I like the way the gearbox feels, and it's a fun car just to blast around it a little bit. You know, just enjoy this, and you don't have to rag it out. Get the roll on this guy. Goodbye, sucker. I love it. And I hope you guys get to enjoy it too. It's not a car to abuse, it's a car just to enjoy for the character it is. I don't think you need to go crazy modding it out, just maintain them. Maybe put a fun steering wheel on it. Maybe put on a new gas pedal with a little bit of a wider spot on the left so you can toe heel it efficiently. You could stand from putting on a little bit better shocks, maybe upgrading your brake pads, decent tires, but just little basic things like that, and it's gonna enjoy it. Maybe an exhaust that makes a little bit of a growl, and that's really all you need to do. That's really it, and it's just gonna be a pleasant car. As for the people that LS swap them, I've seen that, and looking at the car and thinking about it, honestly, I don't think I'm against that. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Keep in mind though that the transaxle is really not rated for that kind of torque and horsepower, so if you start hole shotting a 944 with an LS in it, you're gonna break the transaxle pretty soon. But if you're reasonably nice to it and apply the power reasonably, I think it's going to last quite a while. So you can have a lot of fun there. But keep in mind, if you want to hole shot it, if you want to drag race it, whether it's got the stock engine or you put an LS or it's a turbo, these weren't meant to be hole shotted cars. Just keep that in mind, okay? The Europeans aren't really into drag racing. They're into road racing, which is a different thing. But that's really it, guys. I just wanted to have this drive with you guys to come along. I'm really just driving today normally. I'm not out joyriding, just going somewhere. But that's the most special thing about having an interesting car that you can drive every day. Because life, I feel like Ferris Bueller right now. Life is tough. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you might miss it. And for me, driving an interesting car is my solace, because that half hour that I have to go from one place to another, I get to listen to whatever music I want, I get to drive how I want, and with a stick shift, I have a little bit of a challenge that keeps me on my toes and, you know, connecting with the machine and having a little bit of fun. So that's why it's so great to have a sports car, because even if you can't go on vacation, even if you're overworked, even if you can't find any time to yourself, then make the drive home, the drive to work special. And that's that. And beyond that, if you maintain something like this, it's still gonna be worth what you paid for it. So why lose money hand over fist to depreciation? It can really work in your favor. But I hope this inspires you all to find an interesting car that you enjoy, that fits the bill for you, to get hands-on, buy some tools, learn from YouTube videos, and get at it, even if you've never gotten an opportunity to do that before. But always be safe, take care of your cars, make good, sound decisions, and whether it's foreign, domestic, Japanese, German, English, or American, doesn't matter. Just have a good time with your car. I hope you guys will share this, and naturally, like, comment, and of course, subscribe. See you guys next time. Let's go, people! I have cars to drive.